Hello, everyone, and welcome to the One Soccer Nation podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Ray. Today, I'm excited to be joined by a special guest, Dylan Meyer, founder and CEO of Legacy of Legends, a revolutionary platform connecting young athletes with the perfect sports program. Dylan, thank you for being here. To kick things off, could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Kareem, it's a pleasure being here. I'm Dylan Meyer. I grew up in South Florida. I played travel basketball my entire childhood. And at the age of 13, that's when my sports media journey began, when I decided to create an Instagram page for Dwayne Wade, who at the time, was my childhood idol. And the page blew up over time. It was as big as 130,000 followers, which eventually led to a business relationship with Dwayne. During my sophomore year of college at the University of Florida, I decided to create Legacy of Legends, which is where I am today. And so, Legacy of Legends is set to make a huge splash in youth sports.
Amazing. It's not easy to create a platform, Dylan. What sparked the idea to say, hey, I want to start this company?
It's a good question. Well, growing up playing travel basketball, I was around the great talent and the great coaching. And I understood firsthand how important it was to be surrounded by good coaching. And parents want to be able to trust the fact that they will send their children to teams or programs that will have excellent coaching on and off the court. And firsthand, I witnessed a lot of kids be berated by coaches and treated, horribly. And so, growing up, I always wanted to make a difference. I told myself if I was in the right position one day, that I would make my mark on youth sports. And I feel like the time is now. And also witnessing, seeing so many just single parent households, single moms just trying to make it and create calendars for their children on their own and juggle different schedules. It was difficult. And so I wanted to make a splash in any way I can. And with Legacy of Legends, this is what we're here to do.
Amazing. Um, we've talked about this offline on the records now. I've shared how what I really like about the platform is how you're organizing everything and making it convenient for parents. You guys are doing all the hard work so that parents could go straight to the website and use your technology, whether, it's mileage searching or if a parent wants their child to be in a more competitive space, they could input that into a form soon and, you know, basically find exactly what they're looking for and not having to do all the hard work of research, due diligence, ask a whole bunch of questions. It's kind of all there, streamlined, organized on your platform. So, that's one of the things I really like about the platform that I've seen on the website. With saying that, most parents, rely again on word of mouth or trial and error. How do you break through that habit and convenience them that the legacy of legends is not just convenient, but essential for their child's safety and growth?
Yeah, well, I think nowadays a lot of parents, when they're searching for summer camps for their children, they look up on Google sports camps near me, right? And they're most likely going to click through the first few websites and be like, okay, I like that for my kid, and they'll send them there. With Legacy of Legends, we are the premier platform that promotes high quality, top tier sports programs across the world. And so parents will be trustworthy of us. They'll be willing to come on our website and search based on our customizable features, like you mentioned, Kareem, such as their sport, their location, their zip code, their skill level. And within minutes, they'll find the perfect sports camp tailored to their needs within their mileage of their home, which is the coolest part. And so I think to answer your question, it's just a mix of trust, building trust with the parents, having them know every summer, every winter, when they're looking for these top tier sports programs, they know to come to Legacy of Legends because we only promote top tier sports camps across the world. And so I think that's kind of just finding the balance between trust, but also guiding their support and which sport and direction they want to send their kids because we find the right program for the right child.
Nice. Switching gears here quickly, I always like the touch of, for example, a club owner who has a connection to soccer, whether they played or they have a son or daughter that's in soccer that's inspired them to, they've been successful in business and then they use that capital that they've earned to put it into club ownership. They have some type of connection versus a wealthy investor that doesn't really have any connection to soccer. There's always a different touch to it in my perspective. And for you, I know this personally, but for our viewers, could you share a story? You shared a little bit before, but can you share a little bit more in regards to yourself? You playing sport. I know your sports basketball. and like you've shared a little bit of how it influenced you, but share a little bit about the passion and really, really truly why, um, not just the reason why, but what personally touches you to because building a company is hard. So what pushes you every day to create this platform and your passion for sport?
That's a great question. I'll go back to my journey when I was young, being around teammates who were so talented, but unfortunately, due to their circumstances, they couldn't afford to play. They had to continuously quit. There was so much pressure from, like I said, the single parent households to where they couldn't afford to play. And so I always told myself that I wanted to make an impact. And if you get to know me personally, which you have, Kareem, but if you get to know me personally, I'm someone that's always wanted to help and give back and make an impact on my community. And so witnessing that firsthand and being able to, curate a company like Legacy of Legends to where every summer parents know to come to our website, but also programs know to sign up with us because they would be one of the best out there. Um, and just providing access to children all over the world, and especially the programs that don't get the spotlight because maybe their marketing isn't up to par, or maybe they just don't really put themselves out there enough. We find those hidden gems and we put them in the spotlight. And so I'm super excited for what we're building here at Legacy of Legends, and I think there's still a lot more to come.
Very nice. You're a basketball guy. I'm a soccer guy. I do love basketball. We were just talking about it too. Um, but you guys cover all sports, right?
We cover all sports, correct?
Switching gears again, your team promises a 30-minute call back and even guides parents to camps not listed on your site. What's an example where their personal touch completely changed the family's experience?
So a few weeks ago, we received a call from a father here in South Florida. Originally, he thought we hosted our own camps. We had to tell him, no, we don't host our own camps. However, we can help find you one if that's what you need. And he said he had a 5-year-old daughter who plays soccer. She just wants to find a camp in her area just for the week. And so we did the research. Within moments, we found him the perfect camp that we felt was tailored to his needs for his daughter, and he was able to sign up and go to that camp the next week. And so those are just some of the small steps that we take when parents do call us. We want to make sure that we take care of every single parent that does reach out. And like I mentioned, Kareem, to you, I don't know if I said this on the air. We're in the midst of creating a form based on strengths and weaknesses. So that way, when parents aren't sure whether or not they want their children to be improved on their footwork or their shot form in basketball or in soccer, their passing abilities. They fill out this form that we are in the middle of creating, and we, based on their needs, select the right program for them. And so I think that's something that's a pretty cool addition to Legacy of Legends to parents out there listening. If you have certain strengths and weaknesses that your son or daughter is good at versus you want them to improve at, that's what we're here to do. We'll help you find the right program within your area that is specialized to your needs.
Amazing, Dylan. We talked about it yesterday in regards to why I liked that forum. And if I was a parent, I'm not a parent yet, but soon, I really like that aspect because for me, I'm competitive. So I'd want my son or daughter to be competitive and put them in a program where they're going to continuously grow, right? But if there is that parent that wants to have their son still play sport, but maybe not more so be super competitive, but more so on the fun side, they're able to have that filtering system through your platform, which I think it's not something I've seen anywhere else personally, and not sure if any other platform's doing what you guys are doing and providing that for parents. So I think that's great.
Thank you, Kareem. Super exciting.
From poor from poor safety call proto- sorry from poor safety protocols to bad coach to player ratios, youth sports face big issues. In your view, what's the most urgent problem today, and how is Legacy of Legends forcing the industry to raise its game?
I think one of the biggest issues, and I see this a lot on youth sports podcasts and parents debating on social media, I think one of the biggest issues is kids are quitting before the age of 13 due to pressure. There's so much pressure from the parents wanting their kids to be successful. And just at such a young age as a kid, you just want to be out there playing and having fun, right? And I think there's a lot of pressure going on right now from both coaching and parents. And that pressure needs to come off a little bit because these are just kids. They're just kids out there wanting to improve their game, but also just having fun, not even knowing what they want to do with that sport, if they want to play that sport, if they want to maybe switch to a different sport. And then to build on top of that, I think a lot of the focus right now with coaches is winning, just strictly winning. And when you focus solely on winning, I think a lot of things are blind because you kind of just forget the kid that's left on the end of the bench. You're only focused on the best players, quote unquote. And I think it's similar to parenting, going back to your point, but it's similar to parenting. As a coach, you have to treat every player differently. Some kids listen differently, some kids play differently, some kids are different. And so I think as a coach, just understanding that balance of yes, winning's important, but also, surrounding your kids with the right players, the right leadership skills, building teamwork and just building communication, I think, is the most important thing. And that's something in youth sports that right now is a huge hot debate is what's more important, winning or building character. And I think they're both important, but building character most importantly, and having kids coming home every day feeling satisfied with the work that they put in. And also just the fact that they're doing what they love, they're passionate about what they're doing. That's the most important thing. Because if not, kids are going to come home, they're going to quit, they're going to feel undisciplined, they're going to feel unmotivated. And so just keeping kids motivated, keeping kids confident in themselves is the most important thing.
Agreed. I want to debate with you a little bit on this and just get your perspective. When I was growing up playing soccer, I grew up with a single mom, and she brought me to all my games. Um, she was pretty competitive, man. Like if I had a bad game, like she'd give it to me, right? But from when I was young to when I got older, right? And through all ages. And when I did well, she would praise me, right? She'd let me know that I did a good job. I'm interested to hear, your experience in sport. And sorry, just to finish up on my side, it built character for me. You know how my mom was with me, it built my character. And anytime she ever gave it to me, I took that and said that was motivation to me, right? So I know that's different for everyone else. Maybe if they're getting it, they're getting shit, then um from their parents, then it's like it kind of demotivates them or brings them down.
Right.
Everyone's different, right? But it was a good thing for me, and still now to this day, if something doesn't go well, or I need to improve in something, it's motivational to me, right? So what was your I'm interested to know, like, what your experience was growing up playing sport with interaction with your parents, and then we'll dive into, like, parents, I mean, kids nowadays per se, because it's kinda different, right? Even the older generation was a bit more way more harder, so I'm interested to hear your story.
No, I like this. I'm happy I'm able to share my thoughts. So when I was playing travel basketball, like you said, Kareem, I was like you. I thought pressure was a privilege, right? Um, you learn from the pressure. Like my mom would come to my games and she would wear my number and my colors of my jersey. And my dad was a coach, and so he would pour into me a lot if I had a, excuse my language, but if I had a shitty game or if I didn't play well. He knew how talented I was, so he would pull me aside and tell me things to improve on for the next game. But like we talked about, I think just kids are different. Some kids fuel off the pressure. However, some kids back away from the pressure, and that's okay. We're all different. We're all human beings, but at the end of the day, um, like I said, if you walk away and you feel passionate about what you're doing, that's the most important thing. And so, to answer that debate or my stance on it, I think that pressure is a privilege. To me personally, but I understand that some kids find it just unmotivating. They find it, the fact that there's so much pressure on their back every game they have to go out there and perform. That's going to make them back away a little bit because it's almost like if they have a bad game, they're going to feel like they have nothing left in the tank. And so, um, however I would feel is not however anyone else would feel. And so you have to just understand the balance of all children, not just yourself. But I like that debate. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. No, agreed, agreed. It's a topic that's come up in previous podcasts as well, and it's interesting. I think that, like, my standpoint on it is that I think if it's I look at it two ways. If it's an environment of sport, regardless what sport it is, if it's a space where it's competitive, but also to have fun, most importantly, then I think let the kids have fun. But if it's an environment where parents, and it's structured this way, depending on the program it is, where parents want their child to reach the next level, then I think that the demand of higher quality coaching, pressure, those things need to be there, because if they want to go to the next level, that's what's there, right? So I think it's really dictated by environment. Environment's the most important thing that allows the dictation of requirements, in my perspective. Well,
Yeah, no, and just to build on that too, I think I was thinking about it as you were speaking. It's also the way it's portrayed, right, Kareem? If I pulled you aside as your coach and I said, Kareem, you had a shitty game. Come on, man. I need more out of you. That's putting pressure on you. But if I pulled you aside and said, Kareem, are you all right? You didn't play your best. I know there's some talent that you have. I want you next game to focus on that talent. If you're better at passing than you were kicking and scoring goals, if you're ability was passing and leading the squad based on how you pass and how you assisted, then I would tell you to focus on assisting next game because I know as your head coach, that's your strong point, that's your strength. And so I think just the way things are portrayed, the way it's worded to children, that can kind of ease the pressure off them as well, if that makes sense.
agreed. Deliverability, how you're delivering the words.
How you're delivering the message, exactly.
I think that's so important, and everyone's different again. I've always been appreciative of things being positively delivered, but most of my experience in sport so sometimes you're gonna get it harsh from the coach, right? But it depends on your age. So I mean, more so when you're in the older ages. But again, everyone's different, so uh, there's no one fit all per se. With saying
Exactly.
that, um, you launched the foundation. What story or family was in your mind, and how did you hope this initiative changes who gets access to elite opportunities in sports? And please also just share more on the foundation.
Yeah, so we just launched Create a Legend Foundation. Kareem, you can plug it in, just createalegendfoundation.com. And what we do is we remove all barriers and provide access to children worldwide who can't afford, unfortunately, due to certain circumstances in their family or whatever case may be, that they simply just cannot afford sports programs because it's a very expensive industry. We provide access for all, regardless of their backgrounds, regardless of their walks of life. And for my specific background, I grew up playing travel, as we talked about, Kareem, and I was around so many talented children who just they were in and out from the team, and they were so talented, and I saw the potential in them. I thought they can go D1, and so by doing that, with Create a Legend Foundation, we provide access through donors, through grants, um, through anyone out there who wants to donate. Please go to createalegendfoundation.com. And what we do here is we take those donations and we provide grants. Parents can apply for a grant based on, their needs and their situation. We check it out. If they are approved, then we do provide that grant for that parent, and they're able to send their children to the sports program of their choice in their area. And so I think it's something great, something impactful, and like we talked about, something that I've always wanted to do from a very young age is just help give back and provide access to kids who wouldn't have had that same chance without a grant, who wouldn't have had the same opportunity to go to these programs and showcase their skills and their talent. And so it's super important for me. It's something I'm so passionate about. I'm so excited about to have it finally launched and out there. And so we were just approved a few months ago as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So to anyone out there, just check us out, createalegendfoundation.com, if you want to leave your footprint behind and make an impact.
Well, congratulations. That's massive. It's not those things take time to do. So that's shout out to you, Dylan. Um, once we close a few things on our side, we'll definitely make a donation. I really like what you're doing. Again, growing up with a single mom, it's not easy. And, I spent most of my time here in Canada. So, pay to play over here for soccer. And I know in the US, this pay to play model is huge. So I really appreciate what you're doing for the next generation of children and for their parents. So that's amazing. And it connects back to us, to One Soccer Nation, and our slogan, giving unknown superstars a chance to go pro. And there's things that we want to do on the soccer side to remove barriers for the we think that are the best players that are facing, whether it's immigration, financial, or political. We want to remove those barriers for those players. So we're speaking the same language here between our companies.
Love
Um,
that.
with saying that, we'll make sure we'll have the foundation link and the website in the description below, guys. So parents, please check that out. Switching gears here, people say youth sports are becoming play to play. What's your plan to make sure opportunity is tied to talent and effort, not family income?
I think to answer that question, there's a lot of directories out there that they feature camps that are pay to play. And what we do at Legacy of Legends, we don't just feature any camp out there. We're not afraid to say no to a camp that doesn't meet our standards based on coaching excellence, philosophy, and safety. Um, I think pay to play is great for certain parents who just want to send their kids to just have fun. But if they're very serious about sending their children to D1 programs, or, eventually getting scholarships from colleges because of their talent, or just any very serious parents who their kids take their sport very seriously, we feature programs that do that on Legacy of Legends. And so I think, to answer your question, it's again just going back to that trust, with having parents come up to our website, type it in on Google, and they'll find that perfect sports program within minutes. They'll see that there aren't any programs on our site that are just pay to play, because at that point, you're just sending your kid to just have fun. And so I think for us, we take our programs on our site very seriously, and they each go through a strong vetting process with legacyoflegends.com.
Understood. Dylan, if we sat down again in 5 years, would have to be true for you to say Legacy of Legends has truly changed youth sports?
Wow, what a question! So in 5 years, it's basically asking, what impact do I want to leave behind? And where do I see myself in 5 years? And I think with Legacy of Legends, outside of being a household name worldwide, shout out to Mendoza United FC, by the way. We just partnered with our first international academy, first of many, soon to come, but I want to make an impact worldwide. And so Mendoza United FC is one of the top premier soccer programs in Argentina. Um, and I've heard from so many current and former players how they rave about the program. They've gotten so much better and they've built so much character due to Bobby Lennon and what he's built over there and the coaching over there. But going back to your question, I think it's just, outside of being a household name worldwide, I want to make sure that we left an impact. We made sure that these children, because of the grants we provided through Create a Legend Foundation, or because we connected the parent to the right program, their child felt seen. Their child made it to that next level because of us, because of a program we listed on our platform, and because the parents sent their kids to our website to find that perfect sports program, we made an impact. And I think that's the biggest thing. Outside of just listing these top tier programs, outside of being a household name, it's making an impact and having these children gain access to opportunities they didn't have before. And so I want everyone out there to know that with Legacy of Legends, my passion, my dream, my goal is to just leave a legacy, leave a lasting impact. And that's why it's called Legacy of Legends. It's just like, what legacy will you leave behind? And I want all these children to realize that when they're going to these programs and they're very serious about their sport, is every day when you put the work in, what do you want to leave behind?
Amazing. You often quote John Wooden: "A good coach can change a game, a great coach can change a life." What does that mean to you personally, and how do you hope Legacy of Legends embodies that belief long after you?
That quote is so powerful to me. I mean, we have shirts about it on our website. So parents, you can check it out. Coaches, you can check it out. But that quote, it embodies everything we believe here. It goes beyond wins and losses. A lot of coaches, they focus on the scoreboard, which is great. Winning's super important, Kareem, as we know. I mean, you played soccer, I played basketball. All we ever wanted to do was look at the clock and see 0 seconds and your team's winning, right? Your team's winning at the end of the day. But I think, that message embodies character, leadership. What coaches out there, outside of just teaching skill work, footwork, the important stuff on the court, on the field, on the ice, whatever you play, what coaches out there are making you come home and think to yourself, did I get better as a human being today? Because sports are important. I think youth sports are everything. It teaches you a lot of life lessons. And I tie this back into teaching or parenting a lot when it comes to coaching, because it's like we talked about, you have to treat every child differently. And when you don't do that, you notice that these kids they just feel like, they don't have anything to believe in when it comes to sport. And so I think you need to take it day by day. You need to make sure that these children feel seen, feel heard, feel respected, and most importantly, build their character, instill confidence. They're still young kids, and I know some of them may be running around not listening too well or things like that, but they're young kids. They just want to learn. They want to focus on what's important to them. But at the end of the day, building them better to be a better human being, I think is crucial. It's everything. And so we embody that quote. We cherish that quote. It's all over our website. Shout out to John Wooden for saying that.
Yeah. You we talked about this yesterday too, in regards to the importance of that because yes, some players, some parents want their children to go pro, but not everyone makes it. It's extremely hard. People say the 1%, but it's the point 0.00001 or whatever it is.
Yeah, we
And
talked about it, 0.00008, less than
yeah,
0.0008%. It's a crazy rate. It's a crazy rate.
so not a lot of players make it. Not a lot of athletes go pro. And I think that's where what you were just saying comes in regards to creating, sport helping create great children, great people. And from sport, they're going to translate into other things, careers as they get older, maybe possibly, I mean, potentially higher education and then career. So I think that's where that point really becomes valuable of creating great human beings.
And
Um,
Kareem, look at even you, like what One Soccer Nation, what you guys have built, and what you're doing currently. It's like, are you playing anymore? Maybe for fun, but not seriously, right? You're not pro, but you're still making a lasting impact. You're still passionate about the sport. And that started because you played at such a young age. Same goes for me with basketball. Same goes with me for sports in general with Legacy of Legends. I'm still making an impact. You're making an impact. And so just because we aren't playing anymore doesn't mean we don't feel the same way about basketball or soccer. And so I want kids out there to know that too. It's like just because you don't go pro, just because you don't go D1, if that was your goal, fine, you could feel a little discouraged. But at the end of the day, if you want to make an impact on that sport, you could still stay around the game. You can coach. You can create a website like Legacy of Legends. You can create a One Soccer Nation podcast. You can talk about your passion and give back to the game. And so I think that's super important too, Kareem, is like, yes, it's very difficult to go pro, but if you have a goal, if you have passions for that sport, you'll stay around the game in some fashion.
exactly. I think that, it's interesting for me. I was always focused on going pro, right? And like I didn't know you could work within soccer until my uncle started talking to me about it, right? He kind of opened my mind to it, but my mind was so focused on going pro that nothing else existed, right? Like as you mentioned, you could be a coach, you could be a scout. I'm gonna speak in soccer terms. You could be a linesman, you could be a ref, you can be a club owner, you could be the maintenance of the field and equipment. There's data analytics in soccer. You could be a cameraman, a photographer, a videographer. Like there's so many things within soccer that you can do on the soccer business side that I wasn't aware of when I was younger. But once I started to reach the age of 18, 19, my uncle kind of brought it to light to me. And I was so passionate about soccer that once I became aware of it, I think awareness is key to as well for the young people. Then it started to open my mind and I started to learn about these different aspects of the sport. And then podcasting really helped me get a understanding of a whole 360 because I didn't just focus on like athletes or professional soccer players. I interviewed everyone, coaches, scouts, agents, sports investors, club owners, etc. So I could get a whole 360 understanding of the sport. So you know, I wasn't like during my playing career, I never planned to be on the business side of soccer. I thought I would just, if I didn't make it, I was just going to start working, whatever it was, right? And just to make money and survive. But it's interesting. I've turned my passion into a career, and it's been honestly truly magical. So for you, I'm interested to know, like, were you always focused on going pro in basketball, or were you just playing at a competitive level and then like, did you have a plan to transition to into after, or did you kinda not have a plan? Yeah, like, I'm just interested to genuinely know that story.
Did obviously, as a kid, you have dreams, you have aspirations. I always wanted to be like this guy behind me, number three, D Wade, and I wore number three, and I had my arm sleeve, and I did. I played travel basketball. I was very serious about it. When it got to high school, I found that different passion. I think it was the Instagram page with Dwayne and then eventually working together with Dwayne. And so it ties back to, like I'm saying, I still have a passion for it. I had dreams and aspirations to go pro. Obviously, that didn't work out. But I think when I found that different passion, which still was staying around the game, keeping his legacy alive, um, that for me just it turned everything around in the best way possible. And I still play to this day. I play for fun. That's all I really need. But to make an impact with Legacy of Legends, that's where I want to make the splash. I want to make that impact we were talking about and leave, hopefully, a long lasting legacy on the youth sports industry.
Absolutely. We gotta talk about the name too. How did the name come about? Legacy of Legends.
Well, there's so many legends out there. And when we say the word legend and legacy, it's like what defines a legacy and what defines a legend? And to all these children who are hopefully taking sports very seriously and they want to go pro and they have dreams and goals and aspirations to do so, it's like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? What is your legacy? And will you become a legend? And like we talked about, it's not necessarily a legend within your sport necessarily, but you're building a legacy here at One Soccer Nation, Kareem. It's like all your passion and your advice that you're giving back and the people you're interviewing and learning more about the game. And for me here at Legacy of Legends, connecting parents to top tier programs, like building that trust, building that awareness, putting programs in the spotlight who are some hidden gems. And sometimes parents, it might be right under their nose, right in their area that they might have not even heard about. But with us, we put them in the spotlight and it makes parents think and say, damn, how have I not heard of this program? Right. And so I think it ties back into that hole we were talking about that's missing with youth sports is just like building that trust between parents and programs because there's a lot of programs out there that promote certain things that they might not attest to or necessarily believe in, but it's just promoted. And so I think building that trust and awareness is everything.
Got it. You know, I think that you mentioned this yesterday as well in regards to you guys don't take every program. You guys do a due diligence process and vet them out. Even if they are, you guys make sure they're good. Even if they offer you guys money, you guys still vet them out.
We do, exactly. We do, based on our three standards, such as coaching excellence, philosophy, and safety. And if we truly don't believe that that program is necessary or right for our site, if we don't feel it's a right fit for our website, we're not afraid to say no. And that's just the human being that I am too behind the company is like, if I don't see value in your program or in you as a human being, then I'm not going to surround myself around that because I want to make sure that, I'm my best self and that we are our best selves here at Legacy of Legends. And it's no disrespect to any program, but we definitely want to feature programs that parents can feel safe and comfortable sending their children. I mean, at the end of the day, these are young children just trying to attend the right sports program. And so we want to make sure that we do our due diligence in protecting them. And so I think it's something that, we set in place from the beginning and something that we're going to continue to do.
Understood. Just a few more questions here. Starting a company is not easy. What's been the biggest challenge you faced to date?
Wow, that's a great question. I guess the biggest challenge is just the simple fact that every day is a different day, and I'm trying to just get behind that. I'm still only 23 years old. I started this in my room at a sophomore year at the University of Florida, just thinking of ideas on my Google Docs, writing down ideas. It's definitely cool to see how far it's come for me. I'm very humbled, honored to be in this position to even try to build something like Legacy of Legends. But I think the biggest challenge is just every day's a different day, and I have to make sure I remember that things take time to build. What we've built so far is amazing. I definitely want to, like I said, be a household name one day in youth sports where every summer programs and parents know that Legacy of Legends is around. And if they want to sign their program up, they come through us. If a parent wants to send their children to a camp, they come through us. And so I think there's still a long way to go, but just knowing that every day, I want to put my best foot forward and meet the right people like yourself, Kareem, and just continue to put myself out there and put the company out there. That's the most important thing. And so the most challenging thing is just knowing that not every day is going to be the same, and you have to just take on those challenges with whatever you got, and just continue giving it your best foot forward, being passionate. And I think if you have the right mindset, you can do anything in this world.
Absolutely. What would you say has been the most rewarding part of your journey of creating a company to date?
The most rewarding is the impact we've made so far. I think just helping these parents connect to the right programs, putting these programs in front of the right families and guardians. I think that's the most rewarding to me. Like I said, outside of being the household name, it's mainly just the focus of leaving the impact on these children, making sure they're in the right position to flourish, whether that's soccer, basketball, baseball, tennis, just putting these children in the right programs, I think has felt the most rewarding to us. And it's something that, we want to leave a lasting impact on.
Absolutely. How do you measure success of Legacy of Legends beyond just signups? What metrics or stories tell you that you're truly changing lives?
Well, with Create a Legend Foundation, that's hopefully what we're going to do. I mean, again, we just launched, but with Create a Legend Foundation, just removing those barriers, providing access to all, regardless of their backgrounds, and hopefully changing lives, right? That's something that with Legacy of Legends and Create a Legend Foundation that we're going to do. We plan on doing, we already have, but we're just continuing to push forward and make sure that we can change lives here at Legacy of Legends. And I know it sounds crazy to some people because it's like, how are you changing lives just connecting parents to just top tier programs? But it's because we're providing that opportunity that they may have not seen before and they may have not heard of before. And then on obviously the Create a Legend Foundation side, it's like providing grants to these children who, again, couldn't afford these programs because they're expensive. Korea. I mean, the youth sports industry is a $60 billion industry. It is very pricey for parents, and if they're not in the right program, they could look at it as a waste of money. And so for us, it's just about changing lives.
Amazing. Well, I love everything that you guys are building. I really like the foundation and, that we're speaking the same language there and appreciate everything that you're doing to help parents and their children. With saying that, I look forward to continuing to see you grow and the company grow. Uh, with saying that, though, I appreciate you again for taking the time for being on the One Soccer Nation podcast.
Kareem, no, thank you for taking the time to reach out to me and get me on here. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I cherish everything you're building with One Soccer Nation. Like you said, we have the same aspirations when it comes to just giving back and just discovering that hidden talent that may have not been in the spotlight. And so what you guys are building is great. And Kareem, I support you. I'm with you 100%. And I hope that, I continue to see your success.
Thank you.
Thank you.